you do a lot of different businesses in a lot of different sectors.
I do.
All the way from, plumbing,
Whatever,
all the way to VC stuff on the multi-million-dollar basis. So, what is probably a sector that you most love investing in, or is it just something that you love to throw a little bit of dabbling in anything?
Yeah.
And who is the people that you most like to go into business? Kind of a two-part.
Okay. First, thank you for probably the greatest compliment you could possibly give me. And honestly, I'm going to give you a compliment back because I don't know, a lot of people don't know the Flex that I know. You are, without a doubt, one of the greatest human beings I've ever met, and there is not a room that I've ever been in that everyone didn't celebrate you, and that's got nothing to do with bodybuilding, by the way.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Speak to a couple of my ex-girlfriends, by the way.
well, I'm not. Don't include mine either. Okay. Okay,
man,
so
you.
for me, because of where I came up, listen, I didn't go to college. I went to college for 60 days and I quit. It wasn't for me.
Really?
60 days in and out. Yep. I sat in a preliminary business class with a professor who was preaching to these kids, me being a kid, but a highly successful kid at that time, making mid-six figures, that everything he was telling these kids was absolutely wrong, was going to lead them down a path of failure. Don't commit to one thing. Don't take risk. I'm like, okay, listen, no disrespect to professors, but if you were great at business, you'd be doing business.
We were like adopted, man. So we've split at birth. That's who I am.
Right. So,
Same
and that's important too. If you're looking for advice, get it from someone that's done it. I'm not saying it's me or you, but look for someone that has had real world experience. Okay, so as far as investing, because of that, because I didn't go to college and get my MBA, MBAs work for me now. I invest in, I love business. And so I am not an expert in anything, but I know a little about a lot, which makes me lethal. And the path of that in any opportunity allows me to see opportunity because I know just enough about each part, each niche, each business that I can add just enough to pull enough to see that angle. And so I talked about this on a podcast recently. I am a big vision guy. I see the chessboard. I move them around. I surround myself with people that are far smarter than me, and it makes me look superhuman, but I'm just standing on the backs of people that are far smarter than me. And so, and a lot of people do that, but what I think I'm really good at doing is, recognizing and telling other people that it's not all me. In fact, in a lot of cases, and some of my biggest successes, at the end of the day, I was so unimportant on a day-to-day basis. It was everyone else that made that shit happen. And I think you need to lead with that. And when you do, what happens with your people is they don't become your employees. They become your people. They're your goddamn army side by side, and that's how you take stuff to the next level. So many people out there, and listen, you can have success by yourself. You can have success being an asshole, but I promise you, because earlier in my career, I flirted with this idea of I needed to be a tyrant, and it didn't suit me. And I only did it because of stupid-ass movies and these people on, whatever, talking about how you have to be an asshole. Guess what? You don't. You can be an amazing human being, and you can uplift other people and be successful together. And that's the shit that makes a lifelong of success versus a short-term period of time.
I love that. And I was going to say, too, can you play the violin?
I don't think so.
Can you play the flute?
Where are we going?
I'm saying that the other, but they're experts at what they do, but they all need
there you go.
a conductor to put everything together.
That's right.
And you are the conductor.
I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Because the conductor, no matter what you say, there needs somebody to be a point, to control the music, to forever.
Keep the tempo.
Or slow it down.
That's right.
And that's you, my friend. You know, and I've seen that in many of our relationships with many of our friends, whether you're an expert in that field or not, everybody does turn to you for all that advice at the end of the day, whether you have all the answers or not. I think you always do, but...
Yeah, that's a stretch.
But again, I
ask Chandra. I don't have all the answers.
If we're bringing no girls into this too, we won't, because,
I love you, Chandra.
Love you too, Ali. Our girls are friends too. Yeah, but... going off the point though, but still on it. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of want these podcasts to get into the ears of the next generation of aspiring athletes and bodybuilders and stuff. Because for me, listen, we got kind of put into a box as a bodybuilder. You kind of kind of, put the cliche dumbass tag on you and stuff like that. And listen, if as a bodybuilder, there's nobody more committed and dedicated in any other sport than somebody that's doing something in our world. The dedication to an end destination through ups and downs and everything else between, and that's entrepreneurship.
Oh my God. I don't think a bodybuilder would make the best entrepreneur out of anyone I've ever met. And honestly, I attribute that to a lot of my success. Let's switch it out. So you have weightlifting, you have diet, you have all of these things, which you're laser focused on in a way that most people can't even understand that level of commitment. If you take that and apply that to scaling, marketing, your people, in the same veracity that you do bodybuilding, it's game over, no one can compete. And so for me, any athlete, bodybuilder, power lifter, even if they haven't been ultra successful like you, there's something inside of them that is dangerous and valuable.
Yeah, no question. And then, again, I think that's a lot of bodybuilders don't kind of have, that partner back to realize that. Mm-hmm. I mean, with this podcast, I've had a lot of comments, man. I know we're going to have it from this. Sure. There has to be somebody flying the flag from the front and kind of saying, like, listen, what you're doing right now can transition into things in life.
That's it.
But because they're so kind of tunnel focused on their next chicken breast meal and whatever else, they don't see anything past that. And again, a lot of these athletes, they need to start investing, when there's a time to invest, not buying a pair of rims for their car and stuff like that. We've kind of all the cliche stuff. But what advice would you give to a bodybuilder now that is kind of coming into his own, a little bit of pocket money? What would be the first thing, if you were in the shoes now of some of these athletes, what advice would you give them?
I don't like the word mentor, but for lack of a better description, find someone that you trust. And so find someone with some experience. And look, there are a lot of people out there with a lot of success and a lot of experience, but you can tell really quickly if they're giving you advice from a point of they want to take something from you versus I've got nothing, I've no skin in this game. I don't take anything from this. And really start pouring into that person. Or listen, if there's not a person in your life, there are a lot of there's a lot of valuable information, whether it's a podcast or someone, that type of stuff, mindset shift. But I think taking at least a portion of that energy that you're pouring into something that even if you reach the pinnacle of that sport, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, bodybuilding, at some point that is going to end because we all get older. And so I think carving out some times for what comes next before it's upon you. So it's preparation for what's next, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when you're young, it's so hard to see what's next, which is one of the things I was really good at, and I think I attribute to my success, was I was always looking forward. And so I think that's an important part of it.
Yeah. So a question also that I get asked because, injuries and stuff like that. So say an athlete got injured. Yeah. How would they rebuild from that? How would you kind of address, say, an injury? They have time for reflection. Would you then look at obviously the best investment is in yourself, don't get me wrong, but how hard would it be for somebody then to rebuild themselves, to get back up and then start thinking wider scale on the business element of things? Does that make sense? I'll try to readdress my question.
I think so. I'll start, and then I'm going to attribute it to 2019 for me. And so 2019, I had just had a massive exit. I had more money in the bank that any man should ever have. Mm-hmm. Going through a divorce. COVID had hit. And so here I am. Everyone would look at me and say, that's the luckiest man in the world. I'm in a massive home by myself, bunch of money, absolutely goddamn miserable, and I hate my life. Mm-hmm. Now, no one knew that. Because from the burden of leadership standpoint, I don't have the luxury of being able to share that with many people. But it's important because, there's a parallel, right? Yes. And so what I recognize is I needed to burn myself to the ground. And luckily, COVID saved my life. I had a year to rebuild everything. So I sat in reflection of what had gotten me there. And I just systematically took accountability for the failures, whether it was why I was unhappy in business, why did my marriage fail, all of these things. So I think accountability from that standpoint, an injury might be a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. But I think the positive mindset of, listen, any level of success, whether it's athletics or financial, you have inside of you whatever it takes to be successful. And any bad thing that happens to you, for me, I lean into it in a really meaningful way. I follow the cracks to what got me there, and I take ownership for it. And so that has always kind of propelled me forward. So look, I've never been a high-end athlete, so I'm just trying to kind of correlate between having a massive injury. And so I would imagine if I'm a famous athlete and I feel like everything that has just been taken from me in one false swoop, I think really you need to lean into a healthy mentality and really, because your body's going to heal the way that it heals.
Yeah.
And as an athlete, you know what to do to heal your body. But I think what cripples people is the mental aspect of it.
Thank you for watching this segment. Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. Help us by subscribing, leave a like, comment, or a positive review. Click this to see what YouTube recommends, and this to see the full interview. See you on the next one. Out.